example, the ability to analyze things, the ability to have passion to perform, the ability to have fire in the belly, the ability to manage people or lead people, the ability to handle successes, or the ability to handle failures and disappointments. Because however much knowledge you have, that knowledge has to be translated into something in the world. And nobody can do it without some of these or many of these fundamental traits. So that is the second purpose of education. But the third purpose of education, which I believe is the most important purpose, is to create in people an ability to think, an ability to imagine, an ability to create and innovate, which is the most important part of education. If I were to give weightage to these three aspects of gathering knowledge, developing fundamental traits, and creating an ability to think and innovate and create, I would give about 20% to gathering of knowledge. I would give maybe about 30 or 35% to creating these fundamental traits in human beings. And I would give 45 to 50% to create an ability to think in people. Now, how are we doing in all these things? On the imparting of knowledge and gathering of knowledge, we are not doing badly. I'm talking about India. We are not doing very badly. Maybe we may be even doing an overdose of it. We are doing reasonably okay as far as the width is concerned, the spectrum is concerned. We may not be doing as well as far as the depth is concerned, and we need to think about it. But this is the easiest part of education. All that you need to do is to spend time in reading, spend time in listening to faculty. Fortunately, you will have good faculty, hopefully. Of the three fundamental purposes of education, gathering of knowledge is the easiest thing. And it happens. And we are doing a reasonable job of it. The second one, which is developing of traits in people, like I said, the passion to perform, to create a fire in the belly to an outstanding performance, achievements, or ability to take disappointments and failures. Many of these fundamental traits, we are not doing well. They don't come from reading books. They don't come from listening to chemistry or metallurgy or mechanical engineering. They come from many other activities that a student undergoes in his career, or many of us undergo even in our life, like sports, like music, like meditation, like many extracurricular activities, many of which are not associated with the left brain gathering of knowledge, but lot to do with the right brain and tickling the right brain. But these are extremely important part of education. The third part of fundamental purpose of education is, and we are not doing well on this. In fact, these days I see a lot of starting from elementary school, books and books and books and homeworks and homeworks and homeworks and classes and classes and classes and marks and marks and marks. There is no time and there is no space and there is no inclination to develop these, nor we think that these traits, somehow we seem to think that these traits will automatically come to people from somewhere. And we don't pick up the right part of the brain to ensure that we have a program of at least, initiating people into thinking about how to develop these traits. The third part of fundamental purpose of education is to create an ability in people to think and imagine and to create and innovate. This is the most difficult part of. And this does not come again from books. This does not come from just listening to physics and metallurgy and mathematics. This perhaps, I don't even know how it comes. But this perhaps come, but I do know that this is important for human beings because the purpose of life, the purpose of human beings' life is to create something. The creation of something cannot happen entirely by having knowledge of the past. It has an innate ability. And it doesn't have to do with formal education. You'll find lots of people in villages who have never been to school, the point that the chief minister made, are innovative people, or very creative people. So there is something that happens in a student life that makes that person creative. So this perhaps comes from giving space and time to students. Probably it comes from an action reflection action cycle. It comes from a lot of introspection. Any education system, irrespective of the level of the education, we have school and we have college and we have our own administrative, shall we say, mechanisms of calling something as school and calling something as college and university and so on. Irrespective of what it is, you need to design an education system which has all the three elements. If we don't have it, then we are leaving and have only the knowledge part of it. We used to have, many years ago in India, I think we had a very good education system, which like the Gurukuls and, people assembling under a Guru and so on, and I don't know how to deal with it, and many of us are aware of it. But today we have many other advantages. We have tremendous amount of communication. We have IT systems. The networking. We have tremendously advanced in technology, but we seem to have forgotten how to impart fundamental traits in boys and girls, how to impart that creativity in mind, or how to impart an ability to think. Those are the more important traits than knowledge. So all that I wanted to communicate, a simple message, is that we need to look at the education system. It is not creating more IITs. It is not creating more engineering colleges. It is not all that. It is to do with doing some fundamental thinking about what is the purpose of education and design a system in which you have all three components and giving an appropriate weightage to the component of creating an ability to think and creating some fundamental traits in the boys and girls. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mudram. That was one.